Okay, so I'm going to move on to a slightly different topic today, which is looking at fabrics and materials. So if you fancied having a go at this, it could be, I'll probably stick with this theme for a couple of weeks. I'll do a little bit this week and a little bit next week. But even if you just want to do like 10 minutes of it, that might be fun. I brought, so these fabrics here in the box are mine, and then we've got bags that one of the students this morning has brought in. So we've got various things to start with. What I thought I'd demonstrate is just really something fairly simple, so this to start with, and then maybe next week I'll have a look at patterns, how you do, perhaps try and work with pattern as well. But really the fundamentals are really just getting the light and dark, and it's very easy to get hooked up on textures and patterns and things like that very quickly, but it's actually the things to look for to start with are just kind of the way the drape, the bits of material drape and fold and where lights and darks are. You could use any kind of material if you wanted. I mean, even things like coats are quite interesting, and jackets, or scarves, or just little bits. So I'll leave you to decide. What I'd suggest though is go for some sort of tonal medium. So this one, I'll do a little bit more to this one in a minute. This is oils, water mixable oils. This is quite nice because I can keep pushing the paint around and wash bits away. Or something like charcoal is quite nice. So something that you can block in light and dark quite quickly. I suppose if you're using pencil, you could work on a small scale and just do, build up the tone that way. Just do a demo a little bit like that one. So with charcoal, I'll probably start with some lines to start with. So maybe if I look at this side, because the other one I just showed you was the other side. So the back of, well actually I'm going to start with the fold and put the back of the chair in after. So really what you need to be able to do is really see edges where one bit of, like just about here I can see a very definite edge. I can kind of follow that up, then when I come up to here it sort of pretty much disappears about here. So you have like a very definite edge sort of coming up here, and then that really, by about here it's kind of faded out to nothing there. So that could be that edge. And then the next fold is this one sort of coming on here. So that could be, again, that's about that far away. That comes down, then starts to come out this way. And at the top again, it just fades out there. Then the back of the chair is influencing the shape of the fabric, so that would be something like that. And then there's another big fold down here, changes direction, and then again that disappears about there, and another fold starts to come in here. So it's just, I'm using a line to start with to show those edges. But from there, that's where I then start to use some tonal values. So here there's quite a bit of shadow just in here, and if I work that in, I can do that in a way that I then lose the line really. So I can then sort of blend that into the background there. And that's actually all in a bit of shadow up to there. There's a bit of light on that edge. So I've lost that bit. So yeah, something like that. Maybe make that a little bit deeper there. And I find if you're drawing anything with light and dark, just screwing your eyes up a little bit, squinting helps. So I can see that down here it's a little bit darker than it is here. So that can help. And then against the next fold, there's another strong shadow here. That's come down to here. About here, there's a little bit of almost like a little dent. And there's a little bit of light in there, but then again, this shadow carries on down here. Not quite as dark as the some areas. And then again, working up here, that carries on, and this edge just disappears into nothing. It kind of merges away. So that would be that bit. Let's just keep going really. So keep going across here. So that would be how that approach with charcoal. Do the same sort of thing with pastels, maybe on coloured paper or something like that. perhaps use some white and dark. And this version, so I'll go on to this one, and perhaps just work this fold on the right here. So basically that bit is the bits I've just shown you in charcoal. And then, so with this, what I did was I had just a pinkish board, and I've just got a big brush, and it's water mixable oils, and just made a very thin wash, a bit like that to start with, and then just rub that into the board, just so I've got a background colour. But that I can then either lift bits out of, or I can paint darker colours into it. So, for instance, there's a little bit of light here, so I could perhaps take a little bit of the paint off here if I wanted. So just a dampen brush. And the nice thing about this is, and a bit of rag, I can just lift the little bits off and get fairly soft edges. So none of these, although they're definite edges, they're not particularly sharp edges. So sometimes just using that method gives me a nice approach. And then for the shadow, there's a strong shadow here. So I use a bit of red and a little bit of blue mixed in there, just to get a bit of brown, just to get a nice dark shadowy tone. And that would be sort of coming across here. And this bit is in quite a bit of shadow. Mix a bit of brown into that too. And then by the time I get here, there's another fold inside there, so it's a darker fold there. A little bit darker just in there. And then this bit is not quite as dark, so to make that a little bit darker than it is, but it's more like that. Perhaps lighter still. So again, I've got various colours here, but I'm really just trying to look for lights and darks at the moment, just to get a sense of tonal value. So something about that tone, I think, would work in there. Same here, perhaps darken that a little bit, and then yeah, it's a bit darker here, like that. So we're going into a bit of a shadow there. And then as I'm working down, it gets a little bit lighter, so let's go a bit yellower, a bit of the yellow in there. Soften that out a little bit. One thing I noticed this morning is sometimes where there's a very sharp edge, sometimes I've just got a clean brush and just soften the edges out a little bit like that, and just blend them. And because it's oil, it'll stay wet for a while, so I've got a bit of time to push the paint around. There's a bit more shadow perhaps in there. And then maybe a little bit, perhaps a little bit lighter there, just take some of that out. And that will carry on around there. Again, softer there, perhaps go a little bit lighter, just a bit lighter on that edge. A bit lighter in there. Yeah. So it's just pushing, going darker, lighter, just checking maybe a tone here against a tone there. To be honest, in actual fact, it's lighter here, so perhaps take that down a bit. These edges could go a bit lighter than they are, perhaps bring, I think the sun's moved around a little bit this afternoon, and those, because of that window, it's very much picking up a bit of light on those sort of highlights there and in here. So quite a nice exercise. I would suggest don't go overcomplicated, just one simple piece of fabric. As I say, I'll have a go at something a bit more patterned next week. But I've got some simple fabrics there and more complicated ones as well. So if you do fancy anything about that, that's a little short project for this week. I think in terms of the scheme that I've designed for the year, I'm probably a couple of weeks behind, so I might adjust it. So I think there's one idea was landscape using maybe watercolour or gouache, something like that. So that's also down for me. But unless we've got particularly nice weather, in which case we could go out and do a little bit, I'll probably leave that until on that. So we've got this week and next week, and then I've got a 1 week break. Just to remind you. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, if you do want any of the materials, do. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.